Hello everyone, and thank you for coming to my persuasive speech. My name is Brittany Bartley, and I will be presenting the idea that we need to push back the starting time of the school day to a later time. And here is my audience.
Starting to the left is Michelle Klinger, Jack, Jacob, Haley, Chloe, David, Michelle, Alexis, Zach, Michael, and Grace.
Now, one of the hardest things for most students isn't making the football team or being crowned prom queen. One of the hardest things for students is staying awake in class. It doesn't seem like the end of the world, but when you end up working at McDonald's, that may turn into a big deal. Adolescents who don't get enough sleep often suffer from physical and mental health problems, according to an AAP recommendation announced just before the 2014 school year started. Going to school at such an early time with the amount of work a student is required to complete each night has turned into a burden that severely hurts students' performance educationally. Having these problems in an educational environment myself, I have experienced falling asleep in class plenty of times. I've also witnessed many other students falling asleep in class as well. According to the National Foundation for Sleep, sleep is a biological necessity. And with teens and young adults going to sleep at 1 or 2 in the morning because of homework or actual work, they are not getting the necessary amount of hours of sleep at night. With all of this in mind, I would like to persuade you to help form and sign a letter to send to the head of the school board demanding a later start time to the beginning of the school day. On this evening, I urgently want to discuss with you the crisis surrounding young children, including young adults, the starting time of the school day, and how we can come together to change this. While we have other important issues concerning schools and education, I'm going to mainly be discussing why we need to change the start of the time of the school day. One of the clear reasons that needs to be changed is because of all the students falling asleep in class. Not only do you miss out on the information that day, but you will also have to relearn it yourself at home, which then you are more likely to fail that criteria on a test. Only about 15% of U.S. high schools start at 8:30 a.m. or later, says the AAP. 15% is a very minuscule number when you think about all the teens that have work after school and then have to do their homework and projects at a reasonable time at night and try to get 8.5 to 9.5 hours of sleep. Unfortunately, some of the 68% of high school students sleep less than 8 hours on average every night. It's nearly impossible for someone to accomplish everything and then be in bed by 11 and wake up for school at 7:30 the next day. On top of everything, according to another AAP recommendation right before the start of the 2014 school year, adolescents who don't get enough sleep often suffer from physical and mental health problems. There are countless stories of dropouts who couldn't juggle handling the life, work, schoolwork, and sleep because of the starting time of 7:30. It's no wonder why this has become such a big issue. It takes away most people's chances at education before they can really even implement it in adulthood. And no education makes finding a job a lot harder, therefore increasing break-ins and robberies. To put the icing on the cake, adolescents who get enough sleep have a reduced risk of being overweight, suffering from depression, and are less likely to be involved in automobile accidents. They also get better grades, higher standard test scores, and have an overall better quality of life. So not only is an early school time ruining our grades, but it's also putting our lives in danger as well. Since I've now enlightened everyone on the problems involving an early start to a school day, I want to tell you what we can do. To do this task, it will not be easy to accomplish. We are going to have to come together and speak up against the school board. Luckily, this won't cost any of us anything financially, and all it will cost is our time together. To do this, we're going to have to come together with a lot of suggestions for each other and state all of our concerns involving the start of the school day. We're going to have to write a letter together and come back and make changes and reread a couple of times. But doing this, hopefully we are able to voice all of our concerns involving the start of the school day and how it affects all of young children and young adults. After the response letter comes back to us, we may then go into action per se and talk to our representatives or try to see if we can come to an agreement with the school board that if we make the starting time later, the ending time might be later as well. This letter will be a great starting point for our concerns, and hopefully when we come together they will be able to see our seriousness about the situation and make changes. The 39,000 student Minneapolis school system is one of the nation's most experienced districts in considering such questions. It's changed its high school starting time from 7:15 to 8:40 in 1977. Miss Wallstrom and her colleagues at the Applied Research Center, for instance, found that the later school time resulted in improved attendance, less sleeping in class, less student-reported depression, and they suggested those results prompt all high schools to seriously consider changing their starting times. Studies coming out of the University of Minnesota, Brown University, and the Children's National Medical Center provide evidence that running schools at developmentally appropriate hours not only improves health, but academic performance actually results in teenagers getting significantly more sleep. Personally, I've gone into school later on days and I've been more focused, alert, and awake, and the classes that I did attend, I received better grades in. There are plenty of places that we can meet to discuss this, and this is a very necessary step that we all must take. We need to change the start of the school time in order to save young adults' physical, mental health, and their academic grades. Thank you everyone for coming, and hopefully we can take action in this as soon as possible.